Jay here, welcome to Miles Memories Weekly, episode 266. Miles Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where we're talking about painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. How? Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week, Games Workshop showed off probably one of the coolest minis from the upcoming 11th edition launch box, and I got to play a little bit more Starcraft the Miniatures Game. But first, do you know where you can get some amazing hobby products? You can get them from our website, EonsOfBattle.com. On EonsOfBattle.com, we are all restocked on our excellent hobby goodies, Great Hide Studio Bits for your Space Marines, Army Painter paints, brushes, basing cork, ultra thin and ultra thick super glue, and we have terrain. It's the best way to support us doing what we do by getting a membership. Each month, members get a credit good for any one terrain pack we've ever made or the brand new one. In April, we have created the Armored Accessories Bits Pack. This set is full of awesome components to make your vehicles as unique and characterful as your infantry, with all kinds of equipment, storage, barrels and tools for your tanks to carry, seals and tassels that are actually vehicle-sized, big ol' missiles, and extra armor. So many pieces of armor plating in different sizes and styles for your tank can get the up armor treatment that looks best for them. Whether it's a futuristic war machine, an ancient Hulk, or a chaotic monstrosity, these accessories will have your tanks covered. This Bits Pack is by tank players for tank players and is available both digitally and physically printed for you at EonsOfBattle.com. So far in the Space Marine half of the 11th edition launch box, nothing has been too terribly excited. We've got regular old intercessors with a head swap, and then we got Vanguard veterans where they're just assault intercessors with a head swap. But finally, we get something new-ish. We got a Jump Pack Chaplain, and he does look very good. I love the skull helm with the halo on top. I don't know if that is technically an iron halo or if that's just like a symbol of the Reclusiarchy or the Reclusiarch, but this guy is looking spicy. I really like Jump Pack Space Marines. It goes back to my history as a Black Templars player back in 6th edition. I collected Black Templar before you could really collect Black Templars. And so we could take a Crusader Squad, which is a 20-man brick of regular old Space Marines with chainswords, and they were so phenomenally bad in the game. They did nothing. They were terrible that I ended up buying jetpacks on the Games Workshop web store and gluing them onto their backs, ripping off their old power plants and gluing on jetpacks so I could turn them into assault marines so that they could maybe do a little bit more in game. And I would like to recreate that now. Currently on my hobby desk, I am putting together a whole bunch of assault marines with jump packs, and I've been kit bashing and converting the heck out of these guys. Technically, they've been on my desk for the better part of a year and a half, but I've been tinkering with them. The problem is the green stuff, really. I've been giving them like tabbers and extra purity seals and stuff, and so I get to do a little bit of sculpting, and then I have to stop, because if I keep going, I'll like mush the still wet putty. And so by the time I've stopped and then given them enough time to dry, I've moved on to something else. And so I like work on them once or twice every other month forever, it feels like, but I would like to get them done so that they could be led by this sucker. This guy is really, really cool. I like the way that they've done his chest, where it's the idea of a chaplain's like rib cage designed chest armor. It's actually the same chest armor that you see on the Chaplain on Bike, and I really, really like that guy. So this will be a phenomenal get in the launch box. And I think this guy would also pair really, really well with the Blood Angels character Lamartez. That guy is also a chaplain, and he doesn't have a lot of Blood Angels-y stuff going on, and so I think the two of them together would look really good. Another thing that I'm super looking forward to with 11th edition is hopefully some new rules, either for chaplains or for Black Templars, because currently, after the 10th edition codex came out, we don't really have a good reason to take chaplains in our army, because our army rule, Templar Vows, we can have +1 to wound. And that's chaplain's thing. They give +1 to wound, and that offsets the rather lackluster stat sheet of a chaplain. The Crozius Arcanum, it's not a very good weapon. It's like strength 6, a couple of attacks. I think it's -1 AP. It might still be damage 2 like most power weapons, but overall, you're not taking them for the weapon and for the punch ability. You're taking them for the +1 to wound. But if you can't take advantage of the +1 to wound, you just don't take it, which feels really bad for the Black Templars because we want to take chaplains. We're the most chaplain-y, like Space Marine army. We want to have all sorts of chaplains, but currently there's no reason to take them. So I would love for them to either figure out a way, maybe change up some of the other Templar vows so that they're better and worth taking. Right now we get to pick from 4 options. We get a really weird anti-psyker one that arguably is a weird way to make us extra good at fighting psyker keyworded models, but not necessarily as good and powerful as +1 to wound. Then we have sticky objectives, which is kind of a solid but not overly exciting rule. And what is the third one? Sticky, +1 to wound, anti-psyker. Oh, fallback and charge. It's not fallback, shoot, and charge, which is a little bit annoying, but fallback and charge is very good, especially if you're taking jump pack guys. Maybe there's something to the fallback and charge with the chaplains providing the +1 to wound on a lot of units. But is that better than just flat +1 to wound on everything in melee all the time? Probably not. I don't know. The Black Templars need a rework. They need to make room for some awesome chaplain-y models because I want jump pack chaplains. Previously, in the old days, chaplains, even jump pack chaplains could take the Crozius and then they could also take a Power Fist. And you kind of just ignored the Crozius and you only cared about the Power Fist. That would be a little something. You could take a jump pack captain and then get free strats and a Power Fist that hits on 2s, but then it's more points than a chaplain. It all kind of works out if you're not playing the Black Templars. But I want to play Black Templars. I want a bunch of jump pack guys. I want them to be good. I want to take advantage of their rules. I really want to look forward to these guys, so just give us some new rules, Games Workshop. It's no big deal. At the bottom of this article, it says that on Monday, they're going to be showing off something smaller from the upcoming launch box. So that is almost certainly going to be the Gretchen for the orcs. And that I'm really looking forward to because holy cow, do Gretchen need a refresh. The old models are lovely for their time, but man, they're old. They're really old plastic miniatures. These little itty bitty Gretchen guys who are 40 points in game for all 10 plus the run third, which seems remarkably cheap. I put together some Recruit Hounds recently, and those guys are also one of the cheapest things you can have in 40K. 40 points for 5 dogs, but I feel like bumping that up to 80 points for 10 dogs looks really bad considering most things in the game could probably wipe the squad no problem. And for 80 points, that's not super good, but I feel like most things in the game could not wipe 22 miniatures in one shooting phase, even if they are just Gretchen for 80 points. I feel like Gretchen are pretty solid, it's hard to say that they're the best thing in 40K, but point for wound, they're a very, very good thing in 40K. And I am really excited to see what Games Workshop does with them because it's been so long. And I feel like the design philosophies around orcs have changed quite a bit. They've just got a lot more character and a lot more going on with their sculpts than they used to have. And so I'm really interested to see what the Gretchen look like. And then hopefully we get a bunch of really cool, unique Gretchen in the launch box, and then we get a standalone kit for Gretchen that also looks really cool and really updated. And what's Zogrod Wartsnaga is an auto-include orc unit who buffs Gretchen, and he can make them a little bit better, but also he can make them move quite a bit further. And so I feel like Gretchen right now are an auto-include unit, and it'd be awesome if an auto-include unit also looked really good. Definitely looking forward to some new Gretchen. Really looking forward to some jump pack guys. I do want a jump pack wing of my army. I've actually been buying some stuff to help facilitate that happening, but there's actually more to the 11th edition launch box that's got me excited. And if you look at the actual artwork of the box, you get a good idea of what is gonna come in the box. And from the 3D animated trailer, we got to see pretty much everything, but one thing we didn't get to see and is still a little bit of a mystery is if you look at the launch box, in the bottom front, you can see a Gravis armored Space Marine wielding a heavy bolter. And so far we've had no sneaky leaks of what kind of a Gravis unit is gonna be in the box. It is a Gravis Space Marine carrying a heavy bolter, and the only time we've ever seen this before is the heavy bolter wielding Marine inside of the heavy intercessor box. I have 2 of these guys. They're really, really cool. But are we just gonna get 5 heavy intercessors to go along with the regular intercessors that are gonna come in the launch box? Or are we gonna get some kind of a new Gravis unit? I think a new Gravis unit that's a little bit more like Devastators, where they can all just have heavy weapons, would be really, really cool. I love the old Devastator squad, but having them just be bog standard Space Marines is not really good enough. I think Chaos Space Marines had something really smart when they made the Havocs, I think toughness 10 or toughness 5 with 3 wounds. Like making the guys carrying the good guns a little bit better than your average Space Marine is actually really important for their survivability and making them cost effective, because currently, well, you just wouldn't take Devastator Space Marines right now because number one, they hit on 4s across the board. That's really bad. Space Marines should be hitting on 3s all the time. They should not be hitting on 4s. But also the first 5 that can carry the 4 heavy weapons are kind of expensive, I think, at 120 points. And then you can add on 5 more Space Marine bodies to make the squad prohibitively expensive for just some ablative wounds. It's just, it doesn't quite work out. But if I can have like 3 or 5 heavy intercessors with the toughness 6, 3 wounds apiece, all of a sudden it takes quite a bit more effort for my opponent to chew through each individual guy. And so it makes the weapon that they're holding much more valuable because they have a better chance of actually getting to shoot something with those heavy weapons. And so I'm really hoping that we get some Gravis armored guys with big old guns. Also, an interesting note about the guy on the box, his shoulder pad is a Mark V shoulder pad with the service studs, and that's really cool. It's one of my favorite shoulders for Space Marines, and currently you can get like one of them in the Sternguard Veterans box, and I guess you could get them from the Horus Heresy and then just kit bash them onto your modern Space Marines. I think you also get one of them in that new Chaos Space Marine box. What is the Marauders? Like one of those shoulder pads comes in that box, but it's a really cool thing that's like classic Warhammer 40,000, but it's very hard to come by right now. So I would like to see some more of those in the box. It's just a really cool classic 40K thing, and I want some really cool Gravis guys. Going along with my idea of like an air version of like a fast attack version of my Black Templars army, I've been buying Gravis arms wielding the heavy bolter on eBay so that I want to buy some more Inceptor squads. I put together one Inceptor squad with the plasma guns, but I didn't use the big chubby plasma pistols. I instead swapped them for the Hellblaster plasma guns, and I really, really like how that looks. But something that's got me a little bit more excited than the plasma is the super handheld heavy bolters that the Inceptors can carry. I really don't like the look of the 2 pistols, but the Inceptor Marines dropping out of the sky, carrying the big ol' heavy bolter, I feel like would look so ridiculously cool. And the stat line is almost identical, so I feel like it works really well as a proxy. And so I really want to get some Inceptors, swap them for the heavy bolters. I want 6 of them, and I think that would pair really, really nicely with a whole bunch of regular assault intercessors with jump packs. And maybe wandering across the ground is just a whole bunch of heavy intercessors, or maybe just this new heavy intercessor E thing that comes in the 11th edition launch box. Like, what is it gonna be? I would bet that it's not gonna be just 5 heavy intercessors come in this box. I think it's going to be like a 3-man squad of Gravis, much like Eradicators for the current Primaris range of Space Marines. I bet it's gonna be 3 Gravis bodies that can carry some heavy weapons, and the option that you probably won't take is a heavy bolter, but if they can take gravity guns or plasma blasters, or maybe even las cannons, would be so ridiculously cool. Like the classic coolest thing you can do with a Devastator Marine is the big shoulder mounted las cannon. That's such a cool, iconic piece of Space Marine heraldry, and I would really like to see it in the new Primaris range. Like Gravis armor, I really like it. It makes them feel like they can really move around with those heavy weapons, and those heavy weapons should be hitting on 3s. If you're wearing battle tank, like a battle tank as armor, you should be able to wield vehicle mounted weapons with ease. And so I really hope that we get some juicy Gravis something or other in this box, because it's literally, the picture is on the box. It's definitely in there somewhere. It's just a question of, are we seeing the one guy with a heavy bolter in a squad of heavy intercessors, or are we seeing something spicy and new? I'm really hoping for spicy and new, but I guess time will tell. Another thing that time will tell with is how awesome the game Starcraft the Miniatures Game is. I got to play another game this week. Actually, I drove through a rainstorm to get to the local store to play this game, and it was really fun. We played 1,500 points. I'm slowly moving my way up to the recommended 2,000 point, which would be a full battle of the Starcraft game. And at 1,500 points, it played very differently from my original 1,000 point games. The system that the game runs on is nothing is actually on the board. You have to deploy everything, and you're capped at a certain number of points that can be on the board at any given turn. And so at the start of the game, you can only put down a couple of things. And do you front load it with a whole bunch of more expensive things, or do you try to flood the board with a bunch of low points cost things just to try to get some more utility on the board? It's a really interesting system, and I am happy to report that my Terran absolutely annihilated the Protoss, smoked him. Jim Raynor was an absolute hero. I gave him the sniper rifle, and in one turn, he shot a stalker, a Protoss stalker, the big crab thing, and he dropped one of those guys in one shot. And then the next turn, he did it again, absolutely wiping out an entire squad of stalkers all by himself. Like, Jim Raynor is probably the best thing the Terrans have at cracking armor, which is a little bit sad because my Marauders are the unit that's supposed to be able to do that, but Marauders seem to kind of suck. But Jim Raynor, holy cow, can that man shoot his sniper rifle? He did a really, really good job. My Marauders did excellent at surviving all game. I had a big 4-brick of Marauders, a full squad, and I think over the course of the game, I did lose one, but he didn't die because I was using the stim packs. And so when you use stim packs, you injure your own guys, you give them 2 damage, but you don't start to remove models until the enemy does damage. And so I can hurt myself to make myself a little bit better at shooting and moving, but then I can heal it back with the medic unit. And so over the entire game, I only lost my medic squad, I think 1 Marauder, and 2 or 3 Terran Marines, and that's it. And I did a number on the Protoss. The Protoss lost a few more units, but it was a really, really fun game. And I'm very excited to move up to 2,000 points. It's gonna be hard to do because you can't currently buy the models, but I do have some stuff from Adepticon. So, is there any? Currently I'm playing 1,500 points, and I've maxed out all of the upgrades you're allowed to buy in the game to try to get the points up on my units. But I would definitely like some new stuff. I really wish I had gotten some more Terran Marines, because currently I have the 12 Marines that came in the launch box, but I would love to have some more to reinforce them to max 9-man squads, and just to have a few more running around the board, because Marines are excellent. I went heavy into Marauder, and that seemed to be the wrong move. There's also the Gladiator, the Goliath. And I just don't know about the Goliath because I didn't play the campaign. I only play multiplayer. And so I just don't know that unit. I don't have like a love and affinity for that model. So I just didn't buy it, but it does seem like that would have been a good get because looking at its stat line and what it can do in the game, it does look pretty spicy. But for now, it's gonna be me and my Marauders tearing up the board. Lost to Zerg, won against Protoss. And so now I gotta get a rematch with some Zerg and see what my guys can do against the bugs. Jim Raynor, in addition to dropping 2 stalkers, he also one-shotted the Zerg Queen in one shot. He just wiped it off the board. This towering monstrosity. I don't know if Jim Raynor is gonna get nerfed. Right now, the rules for the game are like late stage beta. Like they're still ironing some things out, which is good. The rules do seem pretty tight, but there's definitely some wiggle room. Some stuff feels it definitely feels like a brand new rule set, not a rule set that has existed for 10 years, which is kind of good. I would say StarCraft feels very modern for a war game, kind of in the same way like Star Wars Legion feels very modern compared to something like Warhammer 40,000. And then sometimes you're playing a rule set like Arena Rex, where it's like, this feels like a 15-year-old game. These rules feel old to play. They feel good, but you can see like the history, the provenance of these different rules and interactions, where I think StarCraft does a lot of things in a really, really clever way that feels really good. Just the one roll to do an attack, but that one roll can contain your critical successes and modifiers surrounding those critical successes with the surge dice mechanic. Like it's really, really clever. I like it a lot. It's been really fun playing this game, and it's got lots of ideas in my head of what I would like to do. Currently, there's 2 ways to run the Terran faction. There is the Rainer's Raiders, which I really like, but then there's also just the Terran Army subfaction. The Terran Army seems like it might have stronger rules, but the Rainer's Raiders, the Jim Rainer's Raiders, is really, really fun. It lets you take a unique unit called Rainer's Raiders, which is 6 Terran Marines with the bayonets, who have essentially deep strike as a keyword. And they're really, really fun to play with because you can just plop them down. But the alternating activation makes something like a deep strike mechanic a lot riskier. In my game against the Protoss, I dropped down a squad of Rainer's Raiders right next to a whole bunch of the stabby Protoss unit, and I dropped them in, and they were like perfectly positioned to just unload on the Marines, or on the Protoss unit. But then he used his Protoss energy shield and plopped that right in front of my Rainer's Raiders, and so all of a sudden, my line of sight was blocked. And so this weird alternating activation system that builds the turn sequence on top of itself. Like, I had the perfect drop, but then he had the perfect counter, and then in my activation, I couldn't make it happen. It was really, really fun, the kind of risk reward system that the game is built on. It was really fun. Although I really would have liked to just unload my Terran railguns into those guys, but he had a really, really good play that turned that off. Really, really interesting. Can't wait to get some more games of StarCraft in, and I can't wait to get some more reps in for Warhammer 40,000. Been playing my Black Templar some more, been doing okay. Eventually I'll find the perfect way to play my Black Templars. I might try out the new Bastion Task Force, which is not all that new right now, but I feel like I don't have enough battle line infantry to really make it sing, but I don't know. I got a lot of stuff to work on. Thanks for watching.